I'm juggling a bunch of things. This is what's being shopped around right now. Keep in mind, if you look at the sign closely that's being shopped around, it's promoting alphabet horseshit. It's also promoting atomism, which is absolute pseudoscience. It's garbage. The sign makes no fucking sense. It makes no fucking sense, unfortunately. I don't think anybody should be able to dictate what you do with your body, but you also need to use your fucking brain and not mislead people. It's a complicated thought for most because most aren't capable of abstract thought anymore, and that terrifies me. 12 comments on here, 2 of them are mine. Good, they're still there. I didn't think they would be for a minute. 1 second, I'm marching downstairs with a whole bunch of shit in my hands like a cat in the hat. I'm spinning plates, so to speak. And a toothbrush, mind you. Nothing fell, so that's good. Almost there, internets. I'm also curious because my phone said that I had no memory, but it's still allowing me to do this. Oh, hi. What's up, little gato? Kind of cool. Somebody delivered a couple books on my stoop, and my neighbor's cat's hanging out, which is a beautiful thing. All right, now I'm going to read this to you. If I can drag it up. XX and XY. And when I've talked about that online, it has been censored before because this is an active campaign to mislead and manipulate and corrupt what does reflect reality. The cat's also staring at the stack of books like, fuck you, Scott. This cat's awesome. It's a binary system and there's nothing but proof, which is why people have been lied to and trained to repeat nonsense. Take the blood inside your veins. It's blue on the inside, and when you expose it to oxygen, it's red. Would you agree? Not unlike the Doppler shift. Not unlike what we experience each and every morning and sunset. I'm talking about blue twilight, red sunset. Think about it. It's not like cop lights, because our masters understand this stuff. You know, the lights on top of cop cars? Would you agree that they're red and blue? Have you ever watched Star Wars? Yeah, have you ever played Halo? They're nothing but examples because the same people that are selling kids lies these days understand how the system works. That's what I'm driving at. So, in other words, if you eat food and take a crap, these are 2 different states because you're binary. And it didn't spell your the way I hoped it would because I was talking at my phone and being lazy. I'm aware of that. If you inhale and exhale, congratulations, you are binary. There's a heartbeat beneath your chest. Guess what? You're binary. These are offs and ons. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's important to appreciate such things, and most people don't. And yet, this is who they are. This is how the system works. And this is how the system sings to you and you and I sing to the system. Because we are in time. You with me? Off and on? Yeah? Probably not. Because people want to assume otherwise and believe something that does not represent what we experience. It does not reflect reality in any form or way. It's wishy-washy nonsense. In other words, if you were non-binary, you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't have the opportunity to wax poetic about some pseudoscience. All right, where am I at? So I said chest, blah, 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 blah. There's also a little something known as day and night, and all these examples are what the ancients referred to as yin and yang. Use your brain, most people aren't. Oh, and don't forget, Big Pharma is funded by the Rockefeller Trust, which is why you wouldn't trust it. Our masters are conditioning people to be Big Pharma slaves for the rest of their lives. I'm talking about taking testosterone or estrogen to alter your DNA, so to speak, or your nature is a better way to appreciate it. This is not only a trap, it's an agenda courtesy of the Tavistock Institute. I'm going to read that again because you should look up the Tavistock Institute. This is not only a trap, it's an agenda courtesy of the Tavistock Institute, which is intimately connected with eugenics. Look that up too. Understand what it means, how it, relates to horrible shit. Both of these, or both of which, are firmly rooted in fascist ideology. The irony is kids who fly signs like this will usually say, put a boot on a Nazi's neck and, blah, 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 and don't be one of the boots and don't do this and don't do that and fuck fascism. They're supporting fascist ideologies. Communism is another one of them. Hitler openly stated the color flag, or the color scheme of the Nazi flag represents communism. And the National Socialist Party, I might have fucked up how I say it, I do it wrong often, because they were Nazis, had to be rebranded, and they rebranded it communism. And Karl Marx was a controlled opposition asset, and Hitler was a controlled opposition asset. And just like that, that's the Hegelian dialectic in practice. And it worked. People bought into it. People still don't know, because people confuse entertainment with research, as I like to put it. I said, look into what I'm referring to, or look into it, what I'm referring to. It should say leads somewhere. It holds water, and it would benefit you to appreciate. And then I figured I'd better say this too, because they're waxing poetic about Trump, and none of these kids understand a damn thing, because they don't mean to. America became a corporation in 1871. That's when the Organic Act was established, which created a phony third-party jurisdiction, a phony government. It's a city-state, and it's known as the District of Columbia, symbolized by the Washington Monument. A giant fucking obelisk, the white toothpick. You with me? Probably not. Citizens became debt slaves in 1913. This is when the Federal Reserve was established under the pretense of being both voluntary and temporary. This is when the initial steps were put in place to convert all currency into a debt-based system. This is when people became debt slaves. The currency does not have a gold standard. It doesn't have a silver standard. It has no standard, because you and I are the value, because we are debt slaves. In case you haven't figured that much out. The District of Columbia is the bottom of the trilateral city-states, and the trilateral city-states is in league with Israel. If you look into this, the UK and America, these are the two big ones that helped pave the way and establish what you would think of as the earthly abomination of Israel that we know and love today. Because the UK is the top of the trilateral city-states. In the middle is Roma in Italy, in the Vatican specifically. The Catholic Church is social control. And the bottom is the District of Columbia, which is the seat of government. Really, it's the seat of corporation. And it largely controls the military-industrial complex. And I already skipped over at the top. The UK, the city, that's the banking financial district where all money goes and all money flows. And it makes sense. Money on top, religion in the middle, and you got the military-industrial complex, the might, the physicality of it, the spirituality in the middle, and how you're governed, by your mind, having to do with the money on the top. Think about it. Think about it. Masters understand how these things work. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. So I said, Trump is playing a role. Trump is one of many stewards of the corporation, and one of the duties involved is polarizing people, which speaks to my last statement on here, which I didn't have to say. I shouldn't have. The point is to walk the path of balance and moderation, not to allow this game of tug of war to shape who you are. And it capitalized that as a proper title. Who the fuck knows why? Most people are good people deep down, but that means that they're trusting, which is to say gullible. And just like that, here we are. Because most people don't have a goddamn clue what's going on. They'll talk about quantum physics, or they'll tell you that light has speed, or they'll tell you taxes pay for roads. They only know fallacies. They only know cookie-cutter, prepackaged, canned responses. Paradigms. Taking off, little kitty cat. Psst, psst. I'll see you later if you do. People don't have a fucking clue what's going on, which is why things are bad and which is why things are getting worse and worse and worse. So, gullible. Keep in mind, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay or cross-dressing. Now, keep in mind, that also used to be a minority. The only reason that it's rampant now is because it was well-financed and well-circulated and normalized. It was pushed, like being a hippie, like being a goth, like being an emo. Because it's a social engineering trend, courtesy of the Tavistock Institute, which is intimately connected with eugenics. both of which are firmly rooted in fascist ideology. And what I just said is absolutely fucking true. If you look into it and you try to prove what I'm saying is bullshit. You can't just perform a superficial Google search in case you haven't figured that much out. Most people haven't figured that much out. But yeah, I'm saying being gay and cross-dressing, there's nothing wrong with that. It's relatively harmless, to be honest. It really is. Let's see. But I do draw the line at calling a man a woman and a woman a man. You wouldn't teach a child that fire isn't hot and it wouldn't burn him, would you? Think about it. Think about it. You wouldn't tell a kid that they could jump in a body of water and they wouldn't drown, right? I mean, these are extreme examples, but it's relevant. It's absolutely fucking relevant. I also frown on altering one's nature. You have the sacred masculine or you have the sacred feminine in you. That's what you are. You're born aligned with one or the other. You don't get to choose. That's not how things work. You got bits and pieces of both. Keep in mind, you got aspects of femininity in you if you're a dude and you're aligned with the sacred masculine. And the flip side's also true. But you're largely aligned with one or the other. And you have to appreciate this if you want to understand how anything works. If you want to promote a harmonious system, you need to understand yourself, know thyself, so to speak. What did my mom say? Oh, she made a bunch of cowboy quilts, and they're pretty fucking cool. And I'm gonna have to wrap this up in a minute. I only got 2 minutes. Fuck. Okay, here, let me rattle this off. And as for the kids out there with a lot of assumptions banging around between their ears, even hermaphrodites are born with one sexual working organ. Typically speaking, more often than not, just to drive that point home and be really flowery, because kids fucking love that shit these days. Because that's how reality works, motherfuckers. What the fuck do I know? Thanks for hanging out, and these kids are dumb.